Hey, friends, welcome back to yet another exciting episode of, well, Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Crander Q, aka my real name, and I put it right on the screen there so you're able to sound it out because I've been seeing people are having trouble saying my name. Unlike Freddie, it's pretty easy. Freddie, how are you doing today?
What kind of fool would not know how to say your name, Cran Dirk Nowitzki?
Everyone on the internet that I meet, they're like Crandirk, Carew, Candor, and now I'm getting called Crandork. So I have to have a little bit of sounding out there for people to be able to say it. Crandork. So
I admit I'm guilty. I'm guilty as well. JD and Mayhem Media, he corrected me. But.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that wasn't a shot at you. That was more at Kevin Hawk there and his stupid face. So if he watches this, which he doesn't, I can make fun of him the whole time. So
going down.
That's right. We'll bring a chair to the party with my friends Rad and Bobby Storm. But before we jump into it, Freddie, give a kind of brief background of what you do, and then we'll jump into that wrestling fandom.
Well, I guess it's been maybe 7 or 8 years since we first started the state of pro wrestling. And I guess that's really been just this love and this passion of going to these local shows and really wanting to share that. There's our latest logo design and everything popped out. Huge thanks to Daniel Rose and everybody who helped put that together. Just very grateful of the path we've been on. First kind of started off as shoot interviews. I was a huge fan. That was one of the things that got me back into being a fan of pro wrestling, was sitting on YouTube and watching like some of the different, kayfabe commentaries or whatever else, little shoot interviews and whatnot. I almost appreciated that more than the wrestling itself.
Okay.
At the time. So I was really inspired by that. And it's really just ever since been just almost everything pro wrestling we say now, anything. I heart wrestle art. We're a huge fan of anything creative in that pro wrestling realm.
Yeah, and there is so much wrestling content out there. Like we said off camera, like just trying to keep up with your friends is even a challenge. With the shoot interviews, real quick, I never really watched those until I got like back into wrestling too. But then it just kind of like turned me off a little bit of some of the guys because it scared me. Not because of what they said. It was just like, are they really this angry in person? But now that, perspective is totally blown away because every pro wrestler that I have met has been nothing but extra awesome every time I meet them. Unlike my friends, they've had bad experiences, but knock on wood, I've always had very good interactions with all the pro wrestlers that I've met. So.
Absolutely, man. It's understandable. I mean, they're doing a lot of travel and everything.
And
they're all going through what they're going through, and I think it's amazing that they're able to put that aside.
Right, and then just turn on the lights right when showtime. I know I was privy to work a couple, vendor tables and watch the guys joking around, setting up the ring, on their little breaks. And it's a whole different atmosphere, and it's so fun to watch. But then as soon as, it's like 2 minutes to bell, or doors, everybody's getting lined up, everybody's ready, and then you just see the guy who's the heel just smug looking at everybody, or that top baby face is just, hey, come over and get some. It's just so crazy. 2 seconds ago, he's drinking a coffee in his sweats and sandals, like, all right, let's do this thing, So, but yeah, it's very entertaining and very cool to see. So.
Yeah, always amazing to see him turn it on. One of the first interviews we got to do was with Dan Sever, and he was like,
okay,
who you're talking to right now is Dan. But when I walk down and I walk into that cage, I become the beast. And it was like, you could just see it on him right there. You were like, all right, man, I know. I don't want none.
Yeah, I got to meet him at the local MMA shows here in Superior. And I was all excited. I made this photo edit of him. And I was like, yeah, cool. I can get one signed, do a giveaway for the podcast. It's going to be really cool. Little did I know that shot was going to be different styles all throughout his table. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to present this to him. I feel silly. Super nice guy. His wife was like trying to help him, and he was doing what he was doing, and it was just so cute to watch him with his wife. He's like, honey, I know. I'm just making his change, And then, you read his book, how he's talking about how, like you just said, once I get in that octagon, I'm going to be whooping some people's, whats. And it's just like, okay, he's a pretty cool dude. And, that's one of my favorite books that I read for my biographies. Is he's talking about how if something didn't go right, he'd just beat the shit out of the wrestler in the ring, and then WWE would really have a problem. So I was like, certified BA right there, certified. So yep. But we'll jump into it. Let's talk that first earliest wrestling memory of yours.
First earliest wrestling memory was probably having those. I'm not a huge collector, man, but I grew up in the 80s and we had those giant like rubber action figures, those WWF ones. And
okay.
I remember chucking them up to get them stuck in the tree. And then we throw the other ones to get them unstuck, man. I guess that was kind of like the first rawest memory of wrestling, but like
okay.
maybe watching it or anything. I remember my friend went to an actual show there and the claw he was going to apply that, but then it got reversed and the claw happened to him. And my friend, he had kind of speculated to me that it might be a little predetermined, perhaps.
Okay.
That turned me off for a long time. But I think when I first really got into it, really found that love and that passion for pro wrestling was in my teens. My brother used to watch it all the time. And just, I think being a teenager in the Attitude Era and everything really coming together, like that raw, that rebel attitude, the ECW, Stone Cold, DX, NWO, like just standing up for yourself no matter what. Like that really, really influenced me. I think that was like my first, raw memory.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking of that time with the NWO. I was an NWO kid. I have the DX shirt, but I was more WCW.
All right.
Like you said, growing into a teenager at that time, the music, was right there with it. I'm not sure kind of what you listen to, but like Korn, Limp Bizkit, that all just fit the 90s attitude of just, break shit and, flip your boss off and, just stuff like that. Just brings me back to like a crazy time. I mean, nowadays everything would be blurred and censored and bleeped out. I mean, it's right. So crazy. And I always bring it up in every interview when we talk about the Attitude Era is watching Kevin Nash throw poor Rey Mysterio like a lawn dart into that trailer. Literally made me lose my mind because I was, holy cow, what is happening? What is happening? And, I watch it back now and you see how he protects himself and all that stuff. But as a kid, I'm just like, oh my God, he just threw him headfirst into a trailer. In a trailer.
Right.
How is this possible? What is happening? Somebody arrest that guy, but
that's
I don't know.
Wild too, man. Like we grew up watching, well, I guess I take it back. I take it back before that. I've got a terrible memory, man.
It's all good. It's all good.
But even before that, I remember like elementary school, you'd have like sleepovers with your friends and whatnot. And we'd always go to the video store and we would rent those WWF tapes. And I think that's why it was so big, because we knew like Diesel and Razor Ramon. And I wasn't that familiar with any other brand really outside of WWF. That's kind of what I grew up with, AWA was kind of dying out by that time. So yeah, it was cool to be like, oh, who are these guys? What is WCW? Oh my God, they kind of got this whole backstory and everything.
Yep.
Who's this Four Horsemen? They're doing the Kevin Nash coming out there, whose spot, just having fun with it. It was so cool and hip. And like you talk music, like I was old school. We first got into music at that time, old school Juggalo, into ICPC and ICP, WF and WCW, and them living out their dream was just like so inspiring. And
randomly I'll sorry to cut you off there. Randomly I'll throw on, I asked the wife, just give me a number and I'll throw on like a old pay-per-view. I'm like, give me number of match to watch, and I'll flip through. And you brought up ICP, where I just remember they showed clips of them turning on the oddities and whatever the guy with the mask was. I know it was Shark slash was an Earthquake.
Yeah.
That was wearing a John Tenta, but I just can't remember his little name there. But
Golga.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I just remember that one vividly from the oddities. And the one guy, super tall, he became an actor, and yeah, just crazy.
Oh, yeah, it was a wild time. We all got the hatchet, man. It was wild to see a lot of those shows during that time just had random Hatchet Man sign everywhere. It
Mhm.
was just what a time to exist, man. So
So let's dive into that a little bit because growing up, I really didn't listen to that music. Still kind of don't, just because it's past my, circle of prime or whatever. But
yeah, fair enough.
did they reference a lot of wrestling in that music? I know they were scheduled
Absolutely.
for a few shows, but have pulled out of them.
Was
I know they
the
have their own promotion, but
Absolutely, that was that record at that time, that huge record that they had, probably
okay,
arguably the biggest record they ever made. Great Malenko. He's got a line on there. I sabooed your mama through a coffee table. Like they were always kind of throwing stuff in
okay,
there. I think their video, they had like Halls of Illusions or something. They had some of these freak show scenes, and some of the wrestlers were playing in there. I think the Bushwhackers
very
are
nice.
doing stuff. So yeah, it was always kind of intertwined, and ended up reading their book how they wanted to be wrestlers and they trained. And
Oh,
I think
okay,
Violent J even like wrestled RVD back, back on the indie circuit way
very
back
nice.
ago. So it's kind of cool, as a teenager dreaming of yourself, wanting to pursue that sort of thing. It was
Yeah,
cool.
and I mean, with
Doing it.
the popularity of their music, they were able to not only start their own wrestling promotion, but to work with some of the big promotions. I believe it's Violent J. Internet will roast me if I'm wrong. Sorry, folks, but I feel like he's doing events now where he's traveling to some indie shows. It kind of makes me think of David Arquette getting back out there and rewriting that wrestling legacy that wasn't so great in the beginning, but he's trying to prove that he really cared about wrestling. But it's cool to see them back and trying to do some more wrestling.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I think about, see a Joey Avalon or the ACW
Hmm.
Wisconsin stuff. We first went out there to the Water City Wrestling Con because they had ICP booked, and
Yep,
that was first when Violent J's health was starting to go bad, so they canceled that. But yeah, it's been
gotcha.
great seeing him back in wrestling a lot more, getting back out there, putting over the Brothers of Funstruction and NWA, and
Okay,
in there, having his team against Vampiro and his boys has been really cool to see everything that he's done. And yeah, it's one of my bucket list, one of my goals for this year is to head out to the Gathering of the Juggalos and be
very
able to
cool.
interview ICP because they have done so much. You think of the first time I witnessed deathmatch wrestling was their Stranglemania tapes,
Oh,
where it was
okay,
them kind of doing the commentary over the old classic deathmatch. Cactus Sack versus Drunk Terry Flunk.
yeah. I went to that ACW show and I was gonna get some autographs for some friends. We were trying to find CDs, and those are usually $1 a piece at like Goodwill or something. And we found some, but they were all like 10, $15. I'm like,
Oh,
what? No, like these are supposed to be 99 cents. They're at the Goodwill store. Give me the deal. Well, then we were lucky enough to find some online. I think for like $6, $7 with free shipping, and we were going to get a couple of them signed for friends of mine here in town. But unfortunately, they pulled out. They brought in Maven and a couple other people instead. But yeah, I was kind of looking forward to meet those guys. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of their music, but they
sure.
are, someone in wrestling that brought eyes to the product, kind of like Logan Paul is doing now. So
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. They're not for everybody. Everybody's got their own taste. But yeah, they have done a lot of great things for wrestling, running their own promotion.
mhm.
I remember going to see them in Minneapolis at the Quest, and the last show, at the last match, they had everybody rush the ring, and the ring collapses.
Oh, geez.
Just amazing to think everything. I mean, that's one of the reasons we're looking forward to hitting the Gathering too, is just seeing
Mhm.
what sort of wrestling they usually put on a huge event there, and yeah, just so much love there.
And a lot of big time wrestlers have done it. I know Jake the Snake. I think
Colt
Piper's done
Cabana doing
something there.
hot gimmick.
Um, yeah, so it's legit. I mean, it's something that I don't know much about, but it's definitely intriguing and interesting. Now, you won't catch me there at a concert camping and stuff. I'm not a big fan of being sleeping outside, but it'd be kind of cool if they did like a documentary on the history of that for wrestling, and it'd be interesting to see. So,
we jump back on here, do a little live stream during the gathering or something.
There you go. There you go. All right, back to your wrestling fandom. As you started getting into wrestling, was there any wrestlers that kind of stood out that you really liked?
Absolutely. And when you talk about that teenage years, I really seeing the influence and the impact they had. I really wanted to be a wrestler, and some of those those new gen tapes, seeing the Iron Man match, everything Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart had done,
Okay.
how just realistic Bret Hart was with it. You know how he kind of brought that flavor, and then ECW popping off at that time. Like Rob Van Dam has always been, arguably my favorite wrestler of all time. Just watching those tapes, the swagger he had, that
Mm-hmm.
everything about him, man. Like still to see him reinventing himself. Yeah, that's probably been some of my favorites. And as I grow older, I think I'm more a fan of the characters. Like I look at people like what Bobby Heenan had done, like
Okay.
discovering Bobby Heenan was a wrestler before, and like seeing this little coward, running
Mm-hmm.
around almost Andy Kaufman type
Yep.
tactics. And, I think I'm more a fan of that aspect and the characters and everything now. But
Okay. Now, for me, as we kind of talked off camera too, I'm more of an indie stance. I love the independent scene. I love that you're wearing a Joey Avalon shirt. Probably one of the top guys in Wisconsin right now. Just crushing it, as well as Sierra. Two people that literally scare the crap out of me. So, but with your fandom, if you had to kind of pick where you'd want to be, would you kind of be at the big time, the indies? Where would you want to be most of the time if you got a show coming up?
I think we were kind of talking about this the other day, or it's always kind of been the goal. I've seen the work that Ariel Helwani had done in MMA and how he was able to work with UFC and be able to cover the big events, but
Mm-hmm.
still be able to cover the independent events and cover the fighters who, the passionate and the real stories. And I think that would be the ultimate goal. I mean, if I got to choose and pick, but I think the goal this year is to turn out so much amazing content that we're able to bring it to another level and be able to get to that next level. And seeing friends like Knockouts and Three Counts, our friend Kyle out there in Detroit, getting a press pass for Survivor Series, and then stepping it up, getting to Royal Rumble, and get to shoot a little bit of video and get to interview some of the wrestlers, and to be like, wow, man, like we're really a couple degrees away from getting in that door. And it's like, man, we got to keep shooting that shot. Like, I think that's really intriguing to me. But, dude, I got so much love. Like, this is where it's at. This is where it started. Like, I love the independent scene. Like, even to get hired, there's just not much money on the independent scene, So it's a lot of, hey, man, I could be putting in all these hours for another company, or I could be putting this in for ourselves and trying to create our own thing and still kind of, trying to shine a light is our main goal, showing love. I look at the board behind us, the people who came up Rampage. I hate to just list people because, man, I could go on for I could probably list a SOPW top 500 of people like I love or who I believe could be on TV or making somebody money out there, Like, there's so much talent out there.
There is, especially in Minnesota and Wisconsin. It is crazy. I believe it was you that just posted something that your dad made with all of the wrestlers out of Minnesota.
It was a different artist, but my dad's into woodworking, and I was like, it was a shape of a Minnesota frame, and I've been doing some of these collages in the past. We've done them for the raffles at our tables at shows, so I thought about getting back into that. Yeah, like I said, anything artistic, creative wise in the wrestling realm. We had our last State of Pro Wrestling show episode was like a video production episode, and I'm not the most video producer guy, but it was just amazing to sit there and listen to these guys' process and see all these different roles behind the scenes and how it all comes together.
Yeah, and I defend what I do as well as our other friends do is like it isn't just setting up a camera and hitting record and talking to your friends for 45 minutes. It's the scheduling, it's the potential editing, it's the cutting and putting it on social media, and then it's just like, all right, what social medias do I got? Okay, I got all 5 of these that I got to put something on, and it's a lot of work. It's more than just hitting that record button, and then plus you have to showcase yourself in different ways to stand out. I do vendor tables. I annoy the crap out of fans, and then I bring beg them to come on my silly little show that we are on right now, and it's been working. My numbers continue to grow. I'm excited, like we talked, with the reach that I have been able to get, and hopefully you're able to continue your growth as well, because hopefully we see each other at tables, man. Like those are the best ones when you get to talk to people, explain what you do, explain what you're passionate about, and then you just sucker one of those wrestlers into taking your stickers and throwing it on their lunchbox. So
Yeah, you've
makes
done
me
a
think,
great
does
job with
Joey
this.
have my sticker on his cooler or his travel bag? So
Yeah, you've done a great job. You've been inspiring, seeing you do your thing, and these fellow creators. I think that's been one of the goals this year, is to use State of Pro Wrestling to help showcase these other creators, and through that, showcase these wrestlers through, doing the highlight reels or the little clips online,
yep.
tagging the wrestlers, kind of like a wrestling with unicorns sort of thing, seeing or organic things like that, and all the love come out of that, man. And like, it's been wild to see one of the promotions who we're going to work for this year and kind of step backstage. They were like, wow, because of what you guys done, we've got a special room backstage dedicated to podcasters, live streamers, everything you guys do. Like, we're going to have a room for you guys. And that, like, that meant the world to me to hear that, like,
Yeah, and a lot of people always like they send me ideas and they're like, "Oh, you got to get more wrestlers on. You got to get more wrestlers on." I'm like, but I'm the fan perspective. Like, I have a vast amount of people out there compared to just a locker room, and I kind of feel like I have to brag and say, "Well, I got thousands of people that I can talk to." You have to work out, your interviews with, are they busy that weekend? Are they working? Are they working out? So it's kind of nice
it's
for
a
me
nightmare
that
sometimes.
I just be like on TikTok, yo, I see you like wrestling. Come talk with me on my show. And then I see all my friends are getting like these big interviews, like, Stanley Carr, Wrestling with Heart. He's got a really big interview coming up, should be out by the time this is out, with Victoria. And I'm like, man, you had to sit on that for a month to get that or so till it came out. Me, I just found some person on TikTok, which fans, if you want to come on, that's how I find you. And then next thing you know, I'm already recording the next day, so it's ready to go. But I kind of like doing the fan thing because we get to interview you, the fans, so you can brag, and then I'm able to get more people on faster. So
Yeah,
just a little tip and tricks to all you podcasters out there.
that's of all the things I do in the pro wrestling realm. Like, that's my favorite thing, is just to go to shows, be a fan.
Yeah.
That's how this all started. I just wanted to share that love. Hey, everybody, the world is a depressing, dark place sometimes, and
Yep.
like, we all need some place to go escape that, and that love and the community. Like you said, being able to go up to legends that we grew up watching it, and they'll talk to you and have a normal conversation. Like, could you go see one of these Hollywood stars or one of these sports superstars? Like,
Right.
it's a very special community we have. And like you said, man, not everybody's, that's one thing I've discovered along the way doing these interviews, is not everybody's got to be Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold. Like, some of these people you wouldn't expect, that look like you work at the gas station or something, got some of the coolest stories about wrestling you ever heard, or some unique perspective. And some of the fan stories are just wild, man, to see what people do to get to these shows, or the adventures and tales that they have, the moments that were special to them, man. Like I said,
That's one thing I love about Jumpin' Dream Brown Zell, is like, that's basically what his book is just a bunch of stories. And I, like, if I did get a professional wrestler on again, I want to get him on, because he looks like he tells stories all the time, but also getting the wrestlers on, I'm sure they're like, all right, another podcast. How many leg drops are they going to ask me about? How many times did I work so and so? What's my favorite match? What's this like? What's that like? And that's when I had Darren on. We just started talking about food, because I know Darren and his Patreon, which you can start at just $1, going to Darren Corbin's Patreon there. And he was so excited because it was all food related questions, not your everyday wrestling questions there. But yep, you just popped him up. Hold that photo up again. But yeah, there's Darren Corbin, our sponsor here at Friends of the Squared Circle. But yes, Darren is one of a kind. But he was so excited just to get away from the wrestling topic for a little bit and talk food. So again, any podcasters or wrestling people listening, when you do get these wrestlers on, try to go out of the norm, find something else they like movies, collecting, and make that interview special for them because they will remember your name. And not that you just have a great beard like I do in a first place beard, unlike Leroy over at 13 Cards. Holy cow, I am just all over the place today.
Oh,
So,
oh.
yeah, taking
Leroy,
shots at 13 Cards again. What's new? So
you're just gonna sit there and put up with this guy talking crap to you, Leroy?
he does. He does. I'm still waiting for this big, get me back or whatever, but it never happens. It never happens. So
Hey, DPW just announced that huge show coming up in Duluth at April 28th.
yep.
Maybe
I
we could
won't
have
be there
a
though.
beard
So
up, maybe get some beard judges in and get you guys up there. Maybe a
well,
little.
I've already got the plaque behind me, so I got nothing to prove. So
All right. I'll stay out of it. I've been getting in too much internet beef. I just gotta stay out of people's stuff.
no, that's how you get trending. That's how I hear how things trend. So when it comes to live events, who are some of the big names that you were able to like talk with on camera or chat with that you want to brag about? I know you've had some interviews with some local wrestlers that I've seen, but who are some of the people you want to like brag about meeting there?
Hey man, let's bring that guy back up. It all started. The first interview I ever did was with Darren Corbin.
Okay.
It was really about as indie show as it got, and to have that hour with him and to hear his stories about Jerry Lynn and the people he's worked with, and it really started with that. And the second interview was with Arya Davari. I was like, all right, if we're gonna do this interview thing, like who's the biggest star we could get right now on the scene? And at that time, Arya Davari had just come off the Cruiserweight Classic and had it popped up on NXT a couple times. And around here, he was the man. When I first seen that first flyer for WrestlePalooza, he was the man. He was the guy, the champ, and just see him, to see how he carried himself and everything. And then, getting to do that interview and seeing how he talked about everything. And it was worth kind of that first deep dive we went was to WrestleMania 2017 down there in Orlando. We went to WrestleCon for a day. Kind of walked around WrestleCon and was like, all right, let's see how many interviews we could get. And I was so new and so like, I don't belong here, but we were like, hey, instead of asking for a autograph or a picture, let's see if we could throw them some money and see if they do like a 5-minute interview with us. And I was too shy. It was like the 7th grade dance. I was like, oh, there's RVD, and man, that was probably one of the coolest ones. So I had to send my friend over. He was cool. He was like, "See my friend over there? He like to interview you, and just that sort of thing. He didn't have to do that.
Right.
He's Rob Van Dam, dude. I'm nobody, And that he took that time. That just meant the world to me. And other opportunities. Huge shout out, Dave, Eli, everybody at MAW has showed us a lot of love and got us in there and took a chance. Drove 6 hours with no license, no insurance, go interview Road Warrior Animal, because how many chances in your whole life do you get a chance to like interview a legend, man? It's been crazy to like look back at all the opportunities, getting to go to MAW's Wilmer Mania and interview Willow Nightingale. We were just by chance, there was
I remember that one.
5 people on a goal list that we want to interview, and you do your homework and you got your questions kind of ready, and you're like you said, man, those shows is so chaotic, it's so hectic, and the wrestlers, their match and everything is number one, making sure everybody has a great time and enjoys their match and appreciates their presence, and everything they do in the pre-shows, helping hustle their shirts and everything. Like, I don't want to take away from any of that. Like, So it's just been blessed so many times. The list is amazing. I thought about doing that the other day to be like, here's all the wrestlers we've interviewed. Fantasy book a card. Who has the coolest fantasy book card out of all the rest?
Keep that idea. Keep that under wraps. That's his idea, folks. That is a really good one you got there. I know our scene is pretty big with a lot of the podcasters. I mean, we got 13 Cards, we've got Michael's Corner, we've got Indie Talk. We got me, you. So I try not to ask for those. Again, because I have the fan perspective, so I like to stay in my lane with that. But I've thought about just, be like, yo, can I have just a spare spot and it's going to be like, you want to be in a podcast? Get in here. We'll record for 3 minutes. Boom. See ya. Next person. You want to be on? All right. We got 3 more questions for you. Boom. Let's move on. So then next thing you know, I've got 15 to 20 videos walking out of that place, and y'all got one, so it's just like, again, I'm trying to get, a different lane that no one's really tapped into. So
like a blind date sort of thing where we book a bunch of podcaster interviewers and we book a bunch of wrestlers for the same hour, and every 3 minutes we shift that.
We just keep swapping in interviewers with the next question. Hey, this is Commander Q from Friends of the Squared Circle. What do you like on your nachos? All right, I'm out. And then you pop in with, I want to talk wrestling. What was the iconic moment where you knew you were headed to the main event? Just stuff like that would be so funny. They would be so confused. But are you familiar with Matt Hewen? He's another sign guy. He's at every MAW show.
Yeah, I love him.
Okay, so yeah, Matt, him and I had a silly idea of 3 questions and a bell, where I said, like, I do those 3 questions, and then he just comes in all like caveman style, boom, and then just walks off camera. Yeah, it's just like, what's with the bell? I don't know. It's called 3 questions and a bell. Thanks for watching. And then I move on to the next person. You know what I mean? So
next DPW show, Eric.
You'll have to work that out with him. But again, with what you do is completely different from me. Indie Talk, Michael's Corner. I know you said kind of what your goals are, but do you have any events coming up that you know of, or?
Let's see. We do have a couple. Excuse me. We've got a lot of stuff in the works being planned. I've kind of been sitting here back at the headquarters for a couple months. Usually I love getting out, covering everything when I can. And yeah, we've got a few. We got one show in March coming up that we're going to cover.
Okay.
In the State of Pro Wrestling, you're going to see that. I feel bad because I don't have the dates with me. I should have been more professional.
It's all good. It's all good. Once this comes out, we'll make sure to link that up for you. So
right here, MAW Midwest All-Star Wrestling has a huge women's tournament coming up in March. I believe the winner's getting a shot at the title. Maybe don't quote me on that, but very excited. We got a new correspondent here. As I said, we want to shine a spotlight on people. Anybody else wanting to show love, such as yourself, and create such as we do in their own way. I want to try to help uplift everybody,
Mm-hmm.
So this is her chance. This is a project that she's really wanted. She was like, yo, let's shine a spotlight on women's wrestling. And I thought it's a huge thing. I forgot to name drop some other huge ones earlier when I looked at our top views on our YouTube. Number 1 was this crappy bootleg shot of an interview we did way back in the day, a live stream with Julia Hart. And
okay.
Like Top Flight, getting to talk to those guys before they made it and seeing how they climbed up. And like Arya, seeing those sort of stories. Everybody who's made it like that, seeing people like Danhausen come through, or people like Rampage now, or Jossie, and people like that are like, man, yeah, Joey and everybody. But yeah, this year, that March event, the MAW Women's Tournament, we're going to have a bunch of the history of the women's wrestling there in MAW, and a bunch of women's content leading up to it. We're going to be there with our vendor table. We've got all access once again, so we're going to have that backstage all access, try to get as many interviews and everything as we can. But like we said earlier, everything's going on, pre-match. They're trying to get ready and mentally prepare. So, we're always trying to be respectful and not step on any toes.
Right.
Or anything like that. And then April, same deal. We're going to be right back there, DPW in Duluth, for the huge April 28th show. So very excited about that with the access as well again. And the vendor table, the opportunity, the possibilities of live streaming there from the spot, or different creative ideas like that. Just definitely stay tuned. More shows and stuff like that coming together as well. Where's the WrestleMania sign?
Right. Hopefully Minneapolis soon, right?
There's the WrestleMania rope and the WrestleMania canvas from Dallas, man. So let's just point at that and hope that State of Pro Wrestling, one way or another, will be in Philadelphia. Woo! I got goosebumps just talking about it.
Yeah, and then Philadelphia, Minneapolis. Nice thing is, making friends all over. Hopefully they can kick in some doors for you, so you can sneak through before anybody catches you. But anything you need from Friends of the Squared Circle, we're here. Especially when you're up in Duluth, maybe we grab some food before you head to that event, and then just brainstorm and get you some ideas too, and talk wrestling. So.
And then, of course, hey, let's announce it right now on your show, Crander Q. Let's do it right here, exclusive. State of Pro Wrestling last year, we put on our first actual live wrestling show. We were able to help bring that back to my hometown area that I grew with here in southern Minnesota. And we'll be coming back the end of summer, fall. Bellevue 2 is coming.
Okay. Perfect.
To do that, we just put out the first match, Leonard Literacy versus Kenny Defiance. We started a whole new YouTube channel, like a separate YouTube channel just for the promotion and everything that's going to become. It was just kind of a one-off thing. Like everybody talks about putting on a show, and like we're like, I had a lot of really close loved ones pass away, and I was like, hey man, our time's going to be up. You never know. Like,
yep,
we got to go for this stuff, like.
Yeah, so, chase them dreams, brother.
Yeah,
I mean, and like I keep saying, and you've said it too, if we lift the people around us, we're only going to get better. We're going to continue to, make cool friendships, and then who knows? I mean, like you said, you get that press pass, you're in, then you're like, hey, I got some other cool people that you need to meet. That's the beautiful thing about networking. Again, if you're listening, podcasters, it's okay to like other pages. It's okay to support the people around you who are also competition, because it only helps you grow, So I'm all about giving my secrets away. As long as people need some help, I'm here. If it's graphics, if it's Facebook stuff, if it's social media, I'm here to help. I'm not going to just be like, well, sorry, dude, sorry your views are down. I'm going to be like, yo, let me help you get to that next level. Let me help you with your Facebook page. Let me show you what I'm doing that's working. Because at the end of the day, I want to be remembered for something. And if it doesn't mean that I'm a megastar, it's going to be people are going to be like, well, back in the day when I was coming up, Crander Q. Back in the day when I was coming up, Crander Q gave me the advice to get me to this level. You know what I mean? That way, I'm at least in people's ears, in some capacity. I don't need to be the most famous person in the room. I just want people to know my name when I walk through the door sometimes, That way I feel special and I can brag to the wife, like, he listened to my podcast. He's a follower. Yeah. Okay. Yes, we can go get dinner now, honey.
We're sneaking you in the door, man. You've done amazing just through your theory and everything that you've put into motion, man. Like, you don't even know you've uplifted State of Pro Wrestling. I've been looking for a live stream producer to do a show like this, a live stream, and bring that back for a couple of years now. And through what you do, we were able to meet JD and Mayhem Media, and they helped take us. That State of Pro Wrestling live stream is back, and like, like the possibilities of everything. Hey, let's shout out JD Mayhem Media, much love. Let's talk about it right now. Just signed. We reached out. It's a project we've been wanting to do for a while. Is kind of do these best of matches, like those old school VHSs,
Okay.
Best of. So we hit up JDX. Has always been one of my favorites on that indie scene, like we were talking about earlier. So yeah, we reached out to him, and that's going to be one of the new projects is JDX matches. We're going to do like an hour or so of going behind the scenes, watching the matches and commentating on them, bringing the wrestlers in, and just the limitless ideas that are possible because of something that you put in it. That butterfly effect, man. So forever we'll be grateful for Crander.
And that's the thing is you got to try them, and what sticks. I mean, I've gone through a bunch of stuff. I try new things. I'm like, I like the way that looks. Now that's going to be, front and center. So it's that's what I love about it. It's a continued growth, Yeah. So, but before we wrap this up, sir, Freddie, let's hit that one more time. Plug that your channels, your socials and stuff. People, make sure you're checking out State of Pro Wrestling. Be a friend like me and give them a like and follow on their social media here. The floor is yours, sir.
Do we really gotta go?
Unfortunately, we do. It's a recording.
It's already time. Anyways, my name is Freddie Fredrickson. Usually you can catch me State of Pro Wrestling, our biggest platform, probably Facebook. You can catch us on YouTube, State of Pro Wrestling. The Instagram, we're always sharing stuff on there. What else? TikTok, we're up on there. X, trying to get a little more active on there. Like we just talked, that State of Pro Wrestling live stream show coming back. We just reached out, All Out Pro Wrestling. We're going to be bringing you a special coming up February 9th that evening. So look out for the promotional graphics for that, and we'll keep things rolling. Keep you guys entertained. Keep bringing you new ideas and new art forms in this beautiful world. This beautiful art. It's an art form, man. This is like
It is. It is.
Form of expression. I'm doing this Homeless the Clown character March 7th, Thursday, St. Paul, Minnesota at the Looney Bin. It's a music act, man. I haven't done music in 7 years. It's based on that, mixing it with comedy, and it's going to be we're going to be using the art form of pro wrestling to get over and entertainment and all those cool words that us marks use that we heard at the carnival.
Perfect. All right, friends, if you want to be just like Freddie and sit in the seat next to me, there we go. He's excited. Check us out on Facebook at Friends of the Squared Circle. Give us a like and follow. Send us a message that you want to be on an upcoming episode. And don't forget, it's your boy, Crander Q. Crander Q out.
Crander Q.